Hey, Coach, in terms of Will Howard, what are some of the things that he probably needs to improve at the most, and where has he progressed the most?
I think he's got to still make sure that he takes care of the football, drive the ball into the windows that he's throwing it into. Had a couple, none of the weather conditions were the way they were, but had a couple balls that they got intercepted last week where it just didn't come out of his hand live enough and on enough of a line driving the ball.
Okay, and
As
then
far as
oh,
far as where he's gone, I still am extremely happy with his knowledge and understanding, and there's a lot coming at him, and the defenses in the Big 12. It's not like they all just sit in the same coverages over and over again, and the pressures they bring are not exotic, but they're not what you're seeing as a high school player. So, just his knowledge of the game has really continued to impress me.
I know we've asked you before, and Coach Kleiman earlier this week about the third quarter stuff, which is becoming a
Yeah,
little bit of a trend. I know
yeah.
a lot of it goes back to execution, but is there a reason why the execution has been a little bit poorer in that frame?
It's something we keep really trying to harp on and hammer on because I don't feel like we've put ourselves in third and extra long or situations that we shouldn't have been able to move the chains. But our third downs in the third quarter, third downs have not been good. And we feel like we've put ourselves in numerous third and shorts, third and 3, third and 4, third and 5, and good teams move the chains, and we've got to put ourselves in better position to make plays and then execute those plays in general.
And one last thing with the wide receivers, I know it maybe didn't look like on a stat sheet, but it seemed like they had one of their better games of the year. You had really them committing
Yeah.
downfield blocks.
Yeah, I felt really good about just how Malik played, how Phillip played, and then Sebastian has been a solid all year, and we've got to we got to keep getting them involved. Obviously there's an emphasis at times to get Deuce the ball, but everybody else has got to have opportunity to go make plays as well.
Is that a thing where Malik is getting healthier? Is that why the line's coming on a little bit?
Well, just as an example, watching him run the handoff sweep that we gave to him, and he kind of ran through an arm tackle and then accelerated. Those are the things that he can do when he's healthy. But he's also has to practice week in and week out to put himself where he feels comfortable and confident that he can do those things.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Fitz.
Hi, Coach. In going back and looking at particularly that last series in the game against Baylor, is there anything that, in hindsight, you'd like to change about that?
Yeah. A thousand things. Obviously, the first down call in general, everybody would say, man, what are you doing? Why do you run that play? Unfortunately, they don't realize it was the exact same play that scored a touchdown that Will Howard kept and ran a 23-yard touchdown run or whatever it was. Now, the defense played it a little bit different. Crazy enough, the biggest thing for me was you have to run the ball on first down to make sure you start the clock. There was about 4 minutes left in the game, 4:19, something of that nature. So the first play's got to be a play that gets the clock going. The second down play, again, 2 drives earlier, was the exact same second and long call. Obviously, again, they make adjustments, we make adjustments. The thing I wish I had over with that one was in the formation we were in, if we run outside zone, which is what Harry had a big play on, and then the very next play is what Deuce scored his touchdown on the 38-yard touchdown run. That would have been a much better play in that scenario. Unfortunately, we're not a look-back team. So once you have it called, unless your quarterback's going to change it, we're rolling with what we have called and not beating up on Will because it's not on his plate at this time to do that. A senior quarterback that's been in this system for 2, 3, 4 years, I think says, hey, wait a minute, it's a much easier play to run it to the field in that example. But right now, we're not there at this time to do those things.
You mentioned they defended that first one a little bit different. Give Will a different look and maybe affect his read.
And I know people don't watch it close enough or don't see it when it's happening, but they actually did not get lined up correctly until at the very end, right before we snapped it. You can see number 8 yelling at their DN, number 99, to get in his gap. He was lined up in the wrong gap because he's trying to get that guy lined up right. Then number 8 didn't trigger as fast as what he had done on the touchdown play. They were playing the same defense. They just weren't able to get lined up correctly. So then number 8 played it differently. And for Will, then that was his read, was to hand it off. So he did it correctly. The defense just didn't play it right.
Interesting. Coach?
John?
Yeah, I apologize, Courtney. I jumped in here a little bit late if any of this has been asked, but just in general with Will, did you see some progress out of him on Saturday?
Yeah, well, again, we talked a little bit just the first questions or so. Obviously, he's got to drive the ball a little bit more. The weather conditions obviously play a little bit of part of that. But I continually am amazed and very happy with his knowledge of the football game in general. But we can go right back to it. If you don't have enough explosives and if you turn the ball over, it's hard to win. And our defense early was getting all over their offense. And then as it wore on, both sides of the ball needed to keep producing, and we didn't produce at the very end, which we needed a first down. Actually, we needed probably 2 or 3 first downs because they had all their timeouts and there were still 4 minutes left. But we'd have loved to stayed on the field and won that game just with the offense on the field.
And as a play caller and somebody that's running the offense, how tough is it to find out? I think Chris Kleiman had said it was, like an hour before you get on the bus that you're going to be down 2 offensive linemen. How much does that change the game plan for you guys?
Your mindset, it changes it quite a bit. But then once we started playing and we started executing an ability to run the football was there, now it became pretty much like, hey, they're handling it. Those 2 young men that were in there at guard were really played fairly well, and we were able to pretty much run what we would have ran anyway.
Then when you look at Texas, just what stands out the most? What will be the biggest challenges going up against them?
Well, I think the thing that you notice right out of the gate is just the size of their defensive line. And then when you watch them, how athletic they are. They moved a linebacker number 46 down to D end, and he's an impact player. He's long, athletic, and as a D end with athletic ability of a linebacker, he's a tough matchup.
Appreciate it, Courtney. Thanks.
You bet.
Last one here, Derek.
Yeah, Coach Kleiman said that Taylor Poirier would start at guard again. Is the same going to be true of Dawson Delforge?
Taylor for sure. I'm not sure right now yet what we'll do with the left guard situation. Obviously, it's kind of all hands on deck, and Coach Riley does a great job of making sure those guys understand the scheme. And now it's getting out there and playing and getting your feet wet, and as this thing unfolds, we'll kind of figure out who the best 5 are as the game gets going. But Taylor definitely is going to be a starter. And
for Taylor, is he going to start again kind of out of necessity, or did he kind of earn that by the way he played last week?
Kind of twofold, to be very honest. It's going to be out of necessity, but he did a phenomenal job. And I think when people watched him play, they really saw his athleticism. We talked a little bit earlier, he's a young man because of his age. The lack of spring ball and the lack of a normal fall camp really hurt him. But just as a raw athlete ability to play, a big guy that can really move and run and is physical, he really took full advantage of his opportunity.